The breaking point. The Cortex Empire had perfected the art of silence. For 12,000 years, they moved through the cosmos like shadows between stars, harvesting civilizations at their technological peak. Not for resources, not for territory, for control. The galaxy had become their garden, and they were meticulous gardeners, pruning any species that grew too tall. They called it the Eternal Order. Earth heard their name in whispers first, fragments caught by deep space listening posts, garbled transmissions from dying worlds. The message was always the same, broadcast in 1,000 languages by 1,000 different species. The Cortex come, the silence follows. Dr. Elena Vasquez dismissed the signals as cosmic background noise. She had better things to worry about in her underground laboratory beneath the Chilean Andes. The Quantum Resonance Project demanded her full attention. If successful, it would revolutionize human communication across star systems. She didn't know she was racing against extinction. The Cortex arrived on a Tuesday. No grand armada, no demands for surrender. A single vessel, smooth as polished obsidian, materialized in Earth's orbit. It hung there for exactly 17 minutes, scanning, measuring, calculating. Then it sent down the collector. Major James Chen watched it descend through Earth's atmosphere from his position at the Luna Defense Station. The thing looked wrong. Not quite solid, not quite energy. It landed in the heart of Beijing without making a sound, and within seconds, the city's entire power grid failed. "What's it doing?" Lieutenant Rice asked, her voice tight with fear. Chen zoomed the orbital cameras. The collector stood motionless in Tiananmen Square, a pillar of shifting darkness 30 meters tall. Around it, people had frozen mid-step, caught in some invisible field. "It's cataloging," Chen realized with growing horror. "Recording us." The collector worked methodically. It didn't kill. It observed, analyzed, and most terrifyingly, it learned. For 3 days, it moved across Earth's surface, visiting major population centers, military installations, research facilities. Governments fell into chaos. Armies mobilized but couldn't engage. Their weapons simply stopped working within a kilometer of the entity. On the 4th day, Elena Vasquez made a discovery that would change everything. Her quantum resonance experiment had been running continuously since the collector's arrival. The alien presence was causing strange fluctuations in the data, patterns that shouldn't exist according to known physics. But as Elena studied the anomalies, she recognized something impossible. The patterns weren't random. They were a language. "It's not just scanning us," she told her team, hands shaking as she pulled up the decoded fragments. "It's looking for something specific, something called the Echo Protocol." The Echo Protocol. Elena found references buried in the quantum static, fragments of an ancient defense system, older than the Cortex, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. It wasn't a weapon. It was a key designed to unlock potential in species facing extinction. But humanity didn't have it, or so the Cortex believed. Elena's breakthrough came at 3:47 a.m., fueled by desperation and too much coffee. The quantum resonance wasn't just detecting the Echo Protocol, it was activating it. The protocol had been dormant in human DNA for millennia, waiting for the right trigger. The collector sensed the activation immediately. For the first time since its arrival, it moved with urgency, racing toward Elena's location. But it was too late. Elena felt the change like fire in her veins. Information flooded her mind, not words or images, but pure understanding. She saw the true history of the galaxy, the cycles of harvest and silence, the countless species that had fallen before. And she saw the flaw in the Cortex system. They feared connection. They maintained order by keeping species isolated, preventing them from achieving true collective consciousness. But humans were different. Even before the Echo Protocol, they had something the Cortex couldn't quantify. An irrational, beautiful tendency to bond with anything and everything. Humans pack-bonded with their pets, Their machines, their fictional characters. They formed emotional connections with robots on Mars and mourned when they stopped transmitting. They gave names to their cars and talked to their houseplants. This capacity for connection was their strength, and the ICO protocol amplified it 1,000-fold. Elena's activation triggered a cascade. Across the globe, others began to change. A street artist in Sao Paulo, a teacher in Mumbai, a programmer in Silicon Valley. Ordinary people suddenly connected by an invisible network of shared consciousness. Commander Chen felt it happen while coordinating Earth's defense. One moment he was alone in his command center. The next, he could sense hundreds of minds working in perfect harmony. Not telepathy exactly, but a deep, instinctive understanding of shared purpose. The resistance didn't need to be organized. It organized itself. The collector reached Elena's laboratory just as she broadcast her first message through the echo network. The entity phased through walls like they were mist, its form crackling with suppressed energy. Elena turned to face it, no longer afraid. "You're too late," she said, and her voice carried the weight of every human connected to the network. "We know what you are now. We know what you fear." The collector paused, its form rippling with what might have been confusion. It had studied thousands of species, catalogued their strengths and weaknesses, predicted their actions with mathematical precision, but it had never encountered anything like this. Humans weren't becoming a hive mind. They were becoming something stranger, a network of individuals who retained their independence while sharing a common purpose. They were chaos and order combined, unpredictable yet united. The collector transmitted its findings to the Cortex fleet waiting at the system's edge. The response was immediate. Initiate containment protocols. Earth was to be silenced before the anomaly could spread. But the ICO protocol had already spread beyond Earth. Human deep space missions, colonial settlements, even the crew of the International Space Station, all had felt the activation. The network was growing exponentially, and with it came knowledge the Cortex had tried to bury. Elena accessed memories not her own. Fragments from species long extinct, preserved in the quantum fabric of space itself. She learned about the Varshan, who had discovered faster-than-light travel through empathy. The Quellan Collective, who had built cities from living crystal through shared dreams. The Zephyr Minds, who had touched the edge of transcendence before the Cortex silenced them. All had possessed versions of the ICO protocol. All had been stopped before they could fully activate it. But humanity had something they didn't, a chaotic, irrational stubbornness that the Cortex couldn't predict or counter. Where other species had tried to perfect the protocol, humans embraced its imperfection. They didn't try to become one mind. They became millions of minds working in beautiful, chaotic harmony. The collector began to destabilize. Its form, designed to analyze and categorize, couldn't process what humanity was becoming. Energy billowed from its edges like light through cracked glass. "You want to catalog us?" Elena asked, stepping closer to the entity. "Then understand this. We are not a species to be harvested. We are not a threat to be contained. We are the echo of every civilization you've silenced, and we refuse to be quiet." The collector's form shuddered, then exploded in a burst of quantum static that shorted out every electronic device within 100 kilometers. When the energy cleared, it was gone, not destroyed, but flood. For the first time in 12,000 years, a Cortex collector had retreated. The news spread through the echo network instantly. Humanity had done the impossible. They had driven back a collector. But Elena and the others connected to the network knew this was just the beginning. The Cortex fleet was massing at the edge of the solar system, preparing for total suppression. Commander Chen coordinated the response. Military forces worldwide, now connected through the echo, began modifying their equipment using knowledge pulled from the quantum memories. Weapons that had been useless against the collector were reimagined, enhanced with principles stolen from dead civilizations. In New York, a team of engineers led by Dr. Sarah Kim developed energy shields based on Varshan empathic resonance. In Tokyo, physicist Hiroshi Tanaka cracked the code for quelling crystal synthesis, growing defensive structures from raw matter. In London, programmer David Wright created viral AI that could interface directly with Corthax systems. The Echo Protocol wasn't just awakening human potential, it was turning Earth into a focal point for the galaxy's suppressed knowledge. Every species the Corthax had silenced had left traces in the quantum foam, and humanity was collecting them all. As Earth prepared for war, Alina made one more crucial discovery. The Echo Protocol wasn't complete. What humanity had activated was just the first phase. The full protocol required something more, a choice that no species had been willing to make. Total connection, not just with each other, but with the cosmos itself. The risk was annihilation. The reward was transcendence. As the Corthax fleet began its approach, humanity faced its greatest decision. They could fight with what they had, possibly winning but remaining isolated. Or they could take the final step, completing the Echo Protocol and changing the nature of consciousness itself. Alina stood in her laboratory, feeling the weight of humanity's choice. Through the Echo network, she sensed billions of minds waiting, ready to follow wherever this path led. The Corthax thought they were gardeners, maintaining order through silence. They were about to learn that some flowers refuse to be pruned. The galaxy had watched civilizations die for millennia. Now it would watch humanity rewrite the rules of existence itself. The rising tide. The Corthax fleet emerged from hyperspace like a cancer spreading across the stars. 300 vessels, each one a monument to calculated destruction, arranged themselves in perfect formation around Earth. They had come to perform surgery, to excise humanity before the infection could spread. High Admiral Zektar stood on the command bridge of the flagship Eternal Silence, his form a geometric impossibility that hurt human eyes to perceive. For 12,000 years, he had maintained the order. He had witnessed the fall of the Varshan, orchestrated the quieting of the Quellan, personally overseen the last breath of the Zephyr mines. Earth would be no different. But as his sensors swept across the blue planet, something felt wrong. "Status report," he commanded, his voice a harmony of frequencies that could shatter glass. "The humans have changed," High Admiral reported his tactical officer. "Their neural patterns no longer match our predictive models. They exhibit quantum entanglement on a massive scale." Zektar's form flickered with irritation. "Impossible. The Echo Protocol requires generations to fully manifest. Humans have had mere days." "Nevertheless, High Admiral, they have achieved Stage 1 integration, perhaps even early Stage 2. Below, Earth pulsed with newfound purpose. The Echo network had transformed human society overnight. Not into a utopia. Humans were still human, with all their flaws and conflicts, but into something unprecedented. A civilization where every individual could feel the ripple effects of their actions on others. Commander James Chen coordinated global defense from the restructured United Earth Command. Through the Echo, he sensed the fear and determination of billions. But more than that, he felt their evolution accelerating. "Corthax fleet has achieved optimal firing position," reported Captain Maria Santos, her consciousness simultaneously monitoring 17 defense platforms. "They're charging their primary weapons." Chen nodded. "Initialize the Varshan shields. All platforms, prepare for synchronized response." The first Corthax barrage came like the universe screaming. Beams of condensed gravity and folded spacetime rained down on Earth, each one capable of erasing a continent. They struck the Varshan shields and dispersed. The shields didn't stop the attacks through force. They absorbed them through empathy, distributing the energy across billions of connected minds. Every human felt a fraction of the impact, processed it, and released it harmlessly into the quantum foam. On the Eternal Silence, Zektar watched in disbelief. Impossible. They're using Varshan technology, but modified, improved. "High Admiral," his science officer interrupted, "we're detecting additional anomalies. The humans are accessing archived knowledge from multiple extinct species simultaneously." It was true. In underground bunkers and orbital stations, human scientists were piecing together technologies that should have been lost forever. Dr. Sarah Kim had cracked the Farsian shield matrix. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka was growing Quellan crystal fortresses beneath major cities. David Wright's AI swarm was beginning to infiltrate Korthak's communication networks. But it was Elena Vasquez who made the most crucial discovery. Deep beneath the Chilean mountains, she stood before a massive quantum resonance chamber, now transformed into something far greater. The Echo Protocol was revealing its true nature, not just a defense mechanism, but a key to something the Korthaks had tried to hide for millennia. The Void Archives, she whispered, her voice carrying through the network. They're real. The Void Archives, legendary repositories of knowledge, hidden in the quantum structure of space itself. Every species that achieved true consciousness contributed to them before facing extinction. The Korthaks had spent eons trying to destroy these archives, but they existed outside conventional reality. Through the Echo Protocol, humanity could access them. Elena initiated the connection. Reality folded inward as her consciousness expanded outward, touching the edge of infinity. She saw them, vast libraries of light and thought, containing the summed knowledge of 1,000,000 dead civilizations. And guarding them was something the Korthaks feared more than chaos itself. The first mind. It wasn't a being in any conventional sense. It was consciousness itself, the primordial awareness that had sparked the first thought in the universe. It had watched species rise and fall, had preserved their knowledge in the Void Archives, waiting for one civilization strong enough to break the cycle. Welcome, children of Earth. It spoke without words, its voice the sound of stars being born. You have passed the first test. Are you ready for the second? Through Elena, the first mind's offer rippled across the Echo network. Complete integration with the Void Archives. Total knowledge, total connection, total transformation. The price. Humanity as they knew it would cease to exist. They would become something new, something unprecedented. The choice fractured humanity. Some embraced the transformation eagerly. Others resisted, clinging to their individual identities. For a moment, the Echo network wavered, threatening to collapse. Then 9-year-old Lily Chen, daughter of the commander, spoke from her shelter in Beijing. Her words, carried by the Echo, reached every human mind. We don't have to choose between being one and being many. We can be both. We've always been both. The wisdom of a child, unfiltered by adult fears and complications. Humanity didn't need to surrender individuality to achieve unity. They could evolve while remaining themselves, chaotic, beautiful, impossibly human. The decision rippled through the network. One by one, humans chose synthesis over submission. Elena opened the gateway to the Void Archives. Knowledge flooded through humanity like a tsunami of light. Technologies beyond imagination, philosophies that transcended physics, art forms that painted with the fundamental forces of reality itself. And with it came understanding. The Korthaks weren't evil. They were afraid. They had achieved order through isolation, believing it was the only way to prevent the chaos that had destroyed earlier iterations of the universe. But order without growth was death, and the universe itself was ready for change. Commander Chen felt the transformation as military strategies from 1,000 warrior cultures merged with human ingenuity. He didn't lose himself. He became more himself, his tactical genius amplified by the wisdom of ages. All units, he broadcast through the evolved Echo network. Initiate Operation Stellar Dawn. Humanity's counterstrike wasn't violent. It was transcendent. Ships rose from Earth's surface. Not weapons of war, but seeds of connection. Each one carried humans who had volunteered to be ambassadors. Their consciousness expanded to interface directly with Korthak's technology. They didn't attack the Korthak's fleet. They infected it with understanding. Lieutenant Sarah Park piloted the first contact vessel directly into the Eternal Silence's shield matrix. Instead of being destroyed, her ship phased through, its quantum signature rewriting the shield's programming. She stood on the bridge before High Admiral Zektar, her form shifting between human and something more. "We offer you a choice," she said, extending her hand. "Continue the cycle of silence, or join us in writing a new chapter for the galaxy." Zektar recoiled. "You are chaos incarnate. You will destroy everything we have built." "No," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the weight of the Void archives. "We'll transform it. Order doesn't require silence. It requires harmony. Let us show you." She touched the Admiral's geometric form, and for the first time in 12,000 years, Zektar felt connection instead of isolation. Through her, he saw the universe as humans saw it, not as a garden to be pruned, but as a symphony waiting for new instruments. The change rippled through the Korthax fleet. Some ships fled, their crews too rigid to accept transformation. Others powered down their weapons, their commanders requesting dialogue instead of destruction. But the true victory came from beyond the solar system. The broadcast went out across the galaxy, carried by quantum entanglement and amplified by the Void archives. Every species the Korthax had suppressed, every civilization hiding in the shadows, heard humanity's message. The cycle is broken. The silence ends. Join us. On 1,000 worlds, oppressed species rose up, not in violence, but in connection. The Echo Protocol, freely shared by humanity, began awakening dormant potential across the galaxy. The Varshan emerged from their hidden enclaves. The Quellan, thought extinct, revealed underground cities preserved in crystal stasis. Even fragments of the Zephyr mines, preserved in quantum computers, began to resurface. The Korthax Empire, built on isolation and control, crumbled in days. Not through warfare, but through obsolescence. Why maintain silence when harmony was possible? Why enforce order when chaos and structure could dance together? Elena Vasquez stood in her transformed laboratory, now a node connecting Earth to the galactic consciousness. Through her, humanity spoke to the cosmos. "We are the species that names our machines and mourns when they die. We see faces in clouds and personalities in stars. We pack bond with anything that moves and mourn things that never lived. This is not our weakness, it is our gift, and we share it freely." The transformation wasn't complete. There were holdouts, Korthax factions that chose extinction over evolution, human groups that rejected the Echo. There would be conflicts, setbacks, growing pains as the galaxy adjusted to its new reality. But the trend was irreversible. Humanity had shattered the cycle not through strength or technology, but through their most fundamental trait, the ability to connect with anything and everything. As the dust settled, Commander Chen received a transmission from the edges of known space. Ancient beings, older than the Korthax, were stirring. They had watched the cycle of silence for eons, waiting for a species capable of breaking it. "The real test begins now," they warned. "You have awakened the galaxy. Can you guide it?" Elena smiled, feeling the pulse of billions of connected minds, human and alien alike. "We'll find out together." The galaxy had watched civilizations die for millennia. Now it would watch them live, grow, and transform together. The silence was broken. The echo would never end. Humanity had changed the rules. Now came the harder task, playing by them.